In this video I thought I'd show through a few various different techniques. I'm going to use Aliveness as an example because that sort of covers pretty much all the basic techniques that are used in worship music. So the first one is called a slide. It's fairly self-explanatory. Oh, turn on. You just slide. I use that in the intro riff, so you could play it. But it sounds a little bit flat, so I tend to use a slide. Just adds a bit more, it makes it a bit more interesting. The other thing you could do, which is used a lot in guitar playing, is sort of finger tapping. We've got two parts. One's a hammer-on, where you smash a finger down on the fret, and then the other one's a pull-off, and then when you pull it off, it plays the original note. So notice I'm not using the plectrum. So you could play the riff like that, for example. Yeah, so that's tapping. The next thing, which is used from time to time just to make the sound a bit fuller, is playing over an open string. In this case I've got the Kappa one, so that third string is an A. So if I play second and third together, I'm playing in the key of A, I get that A playing constantly and the riff over the top. Just makes it sound a bit thicker and a bit more interesting. Moving on through the song, so the verse. Now in the verse they use what's called palm muting. It's where you simply rest your hand gently on the strings. You end up with this staccato, plinky plonky kind of sound. Important things, don't push too hard, otherwise you just get clicking. And also if you've got a tremolo and you push too hard, it'll go out of tune. So that's slides, tapping, and palm muting. Also you'll notice it's got a hammer on there, a bit more tapping for you. Next in the solo I use octaves. Octaves are a great way of making the sound bigger and thicker. So without octaves, it sounds fine, but if I add an octave in, it'll sound a lot bigger and thicker. Octaves, fairly straightforward, just comes with practice. On the top two strings, you're up 2 strings apart and up 3 frets. On the other strings, because your third and second string are tuned a semitone closer together, you have to compensate. So on the other strings, it's still up 2 strings, but only up 2 frets. The other thing with this is just to make sure your hand's nice and relaxed, that way you naturally mute the strings you don't want to play. If you put them in, if you played it like that, you'd end up with weird notes you don't want. And if you played it like that, you'd end up with open strings, which can sound very nice, but in this case we don't want that. Sound nice actually, might write a song out of that. Right, last of all is, I use a lot of 2 and 3 note chords. When you learn guitar, you first sort of start with your open chords, then you move on to your bar chords. Then what I use a lot of, is these 2-3 note chords. The advantage is, 1, it's a lot quicker to change between. 2, it thins out the sound a bit, so it doesn't get a bit too busy and a bit too full, which helps the guitar part stand out a bit in the mix, whilst also leaving space for other instruments as well. So let's take the chorus, for example. Now if I was to play it with bar chords, it would be like this. But I don't want to use bar chords, so what I do is I'm just going to strip sort of a couple of notes out of that and play it like this. Yeah, again you can do it on sort of third strings. The only thing sometimes is it's just worth making sure you're muting the strings that you don't want to play. Again, if your hand's naturally relaxed, it does it without trying, just so we're not introducing notes that we don't want. That one, they'll all come with practice. That one, the more you play, the more you memorise these various chord positions. Yeah, I think that's everything. So we'll see you at the next video, which I think is Alive in Us.